Monday Night Football, Saints and Raiders. And let's take a look here at the green room as our handicappers are ready to join us here. And we'll have picks galore for you today on our show. And I'd like to welcome my co-host for today. Special guest host for me is Mitch. Mitch, how you doing today?
Screen there, but I am live. There we are. Dana's next to me, but he's not here. Dana's the black square.
Yes.
Really, and I thought for Bitler to get here, if I wanted to see a square, I would wait. I'd bring in Bitler. Anyways, I'm here all week, folks.
Absolutely. Of course, Mitch, I'd like to get your thoughts here in the NFL. Of course, it's a lot of injuries this week.
Yeah, there's a ton of injuries. We got Bosa, injured, Solomon Thomas. So, basically half the 49ers defensive line, especially after trading DeForest Buckner. Ooh, they'd love to have that one back. And, Jimmy Garoppolo, it's the walking wounded for the scrimmage high school teams as they start to work new personnel into the mix. But I'd imagine that the waiver wire is going to be hot, and there's some agents out there with some players probably bringing off the hook, and probably some players that decided not to play because of COVID, maybe reconsidering. I wonder what the policy is on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, interesting to see what the policy is. Of course, the big hit there for the Niners, Mozart. Of course, Bosa out. And of course, a lot of complaints about the field conditions over in New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, and they're back-to-back on that same field again this week. So, the Niners, there's two teams playing on the same field. Of course, Le'Veon Bell was hurt the week before. That was in Buffalo. But, yeah, it's injuries are part of the game. They always have been. And it's, you look at the roster at the end of the season, it's rarely the same team that started the season. But, boy, when they start coming in week one and week two, it's really, really tough luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really going to be tough. And of course, we look at college football, and your Miami Hurricanes got the job done against Louisville.
Yeah, I got to say that I think the Canes look pretty good on offense. The defense is only going to get better. A lot of young talent on this on this Cane team. You have to remember, very, very few seniors on this team at all. De'Aaron King happens to be one of the only ones on the team. Brevin Jordan will probably be going pro after this year as well, but. They have a solid team, but I'm still just, while Florida State is generally our circle game, and that one is this Saturday night, our circle game this year is Clemson, and, at Clemson, and that's one tall order.
All right, here on the drive-thru, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We have a lot of picks coming, guys. We've got the Monday Night Football pick. We've got some Major League Baseball. Of course, we're going to touch a little college football at the end of the show, and, of course, the hockey game. But let's go ahead and get started. And welcome to our show, Brian Bitley. Here in the mornings with Mitch and company. Brian, how you doing today?
Can't complain. Ready to kick butt tonight on this Monday Night Football. Really looking forward to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a really good one here as it's the Raiders and the Saints in Las Vegas. And just get your overall thoughts of what we saw in Week 1 in the NFL.
Well, I think it was about 50-50 public to sharp winners. I went 2-3. It came down for me. It came down to the Patriots not being able to get in the end zone at the end. But overall, Arizona impressed me with their defense. So
yeah, and of course, your thoughts. I know you're out in that area, in that Philly area. You probably like to get your thoughts here with what's going on with this Eagles team.
Took a loss with the Eagles. They showed up how I thought the Rams would show up. Eagles looked flat. Like they didn't get off the bus, no heart. Rams came in, kicked their butts. So it was the opposite of how I thought that game was going to go. All
right, Brian, we're going to take a look here at this one between the Saints and the Raiders. Right now, we're seeing line open 6.5, Saints favorite, but now it's New Orleans 4 to 4.5 in some places. Total sitting at 48.5. Looks like the under and the dog in this one. The way the bettors have been it.
Now, I'll tell you what, talking about Joe Public and Squares, they love to bet the over in primetime football games. Over is right now around 58%, which isn't really a super high number. But I don't think the Saints defense gets enough credit. I think they're a top 5 NFL defense. I think the Raiders are going to do everything they can at home tonight. So I expect a tight, lower scoring ball game. So I'm going to go with the under here. Also, Darren Waller to score the first touchdown in the game.
All right, Mitch, I get your thoughts here on this Monday Night Football game. Of course, the Saints coming off that win against Tampa Bay, but the Raiders' defense looked a little concerned at giving up 30 points to Carolina.
That's what concerns me as well. That big, poor defensive effort against Carolina. Of course, the Raiders' offense got it done. Once again, though, Matt Rule's defense in Carolina, you want to talk about, a work in progress. That's really what he's been dealt there. He lost Luke Kuechly, who he didn't get a chance to inherit Luke Kuechly. He lost a lot of key players from that team. So, anything that Carolina can do to be competitive in games is going to be pretty impressive, with Coach Rule. I think, they're probably going to be drafting pretty high this year. And, the fact that the Raiders defense was just an outright sieve against them is not an encouraging thought with Drew Brees and company coming to town. I know Michael Thomas isn't playing in this one, but, we've seen some massive line movement here. But these are the Las Vegas Raiders. So keep that in mind. They are the Las Vegas Raiders. And not everyone in Vegas is a professional gambler, even though there is a lot of big money people in Vegas who might say, I'm going to go just put a bundle on the Raiders in this game.
That's true, and we got probably a lot of Raider fans coming into Las Vegas because it's a short drive for some people, 4 hours in some cases, and a short flight as well. And Brian, we could have a fast track here, fast plane service, and of course the Saints, they're fast motion offense. They got receivers in there. Any concern here how the surface may play? Because remember, it's no longer the infield dirt in Oakland.
That's true, but I'm expecting to see a lot of Jacobs running the ball. And the Saints like to run the ball too. So I don't know. I got a feeling that under is just nice value there. I don't care that Michael Thomas isn't playing for the Saints. It has nothing to do with me taking the under here. I just think we're looking at a game that the Raiders really want to have on their home opener. Even though there's no fans there, Raiders want to win this game.
Mitch, if New Orleans gets out on them, Raiders will be in chase mode in this game. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, if they're in chase mode, they are in trouble because this Saints defense is a Super Bowl ready defense. And with Alex Anzalone healthy, which is something we don't see too often in New Orleans, they are very, very, very tough. And I expect to see collisions between him and Jacobs early in this game. I just think that the Saints upgraded their secondary over last year when they had Eli Apple in there. They've gone and replaced him with a Pro Bowler. And, just one more piece of the puzzle closer to get Drew Brees to that Super Bowl before it's all said and done. And, I just think that, the Raiders are certainly a team headed in the right direction. We saw John Gruden win his Monday night opener last year in his the last Monday night game in the black hole, right? And he was able to do that last year. But that doesn't mean that, the Raiders are going from, drafting, 8th or 10th overall to beating a team that many people thought last year, the year before that, and this year are the team to beat to go to the Super Bowl. And it's just, I think a new stadium is a nice thing, but it's not a full new stadium. And some of these, and we've seen teams, go into some of these generally tougher places to play, not looking so tough. I mean, Minnesota didn't look so tough to Aaron Rodgers this time. Seattle didn't look so tough to Cam Newton, who's easily rattled by crowds. We just didn't see it, and I think, part of that is going to work against the Raiders in this one because it would be a raucous Vegas crowd tonight.
Yes, right. And you know how Vegas works. Saints come in, they spend maybe Sunday night in Vegas, and maybe they're out. Maybe some people see certain things. Word gets out, hey, certain players are out. We know we're in a COVID situation, but these casinos are open. When you see a significant line come down here on the home underdog, Brian, do you think maybe some people there have noticed some of these Saints out enjoying the nightlife? Maybe the word's gotten out.
I just wish that I haven't really looked in like 2 or 3 hours to see where the money was sitting as far as bets and total dollars, where they are sitting as far as which team. But to me, this morning when I was looking, it looked, very sharp Raiders money. I mean, I got in on a good number, and the numbers dropped about 2 points since then. So, I'm comfortable where I'm at, and we'll see how it goes tonight.
All right, Brian, as we move to the bottom of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have over at Pick Dogs Premium?
I think the best deal you can get is go on over to pickdogs.com, pick up a 3-day pass. You get all 3 of my plays for $79.95. So generally 3 to 5 plays a day. So you're going to get your dollar's worth getting that 3-day pass.
All right, guys. So check out Brian Bittler over at Pick Dogs Premium. Pick up a package, and of course, you'll find him there. And you also listen and watch Brian in the morning show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Mitch and Company. It's the morning show. Brian, it's always great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow or next week, later in the week.
Lots of fun, you guys. Take it easy.
All right, that was Brian Bittler back here with Mitch here on the drive-thru, guys. A lot more picks coming. We just covered Monday Night Football. We have the hockey game and a lot more baseball and some college football at the end of the show to talk about. But Mitch, I want to talk about this baseball game starting in about 20 minutes or so. Yankees with King Toronto Shoemaker here. New York a favorite about $1.45. Total sits 11-10.5, and of course, the prospect here will be we're going to be looking here at this Yankee game. So we're going to be looking here at Shoemaker for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Mitch, Shoemaker ERA near 5. Of course, when you look at the lineups, Judge and Stanton are both in line. Even though the Yankees have clinched a playoff spot, they're tied with Minnesota in the loss column for a 4 seed. So that 4 seed means you get to play at home for that best of 3 series, that mini series. Of course, Toronto is in that hunt there for a playoff spot. So pretty interesting game here between Toronto and the Yankees.
Yeah, it is an interesting game, and the Yankees have just been hitting the cover off the ball over the last week. And we know yesterday they took a step back in Boston, but I mean, they have been hammering double digits all week long, and they hammered this Blue Jays team really good in the matchup in the Bronx. I think what we also saw was that, that all season in Buffalo, these home Toronto Blue Jay games, Hartford Yard Goats, Buffalo Bulls, whatever we call them today. These have been some really, really high-scoring games in this stadium. Of course, field-type numbers.
Yeah, they have been, and I'm with you there. Looking at a high-scoring game, especially when you've got the Yankees bats back in the lineup with Judge, Stanton, Lemieux. These are players that are hitting the ball, and of course, Yankees with motivation. You'd rather be at home because, for the first series, because you got your workout equipment, it's a little easier for you to get things done.
Absolutely. I mean, any chance you have to be home, even without the crowd, it's way better than being on the road. And especially in the COVID environment, it is, it's even tougher because there's all these protocols that you have to go through.
Absolutely. All right, guys, this is the drive-thru. We're here every Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot of picks coming, and let's go ahead and keep them coming here. We're going to go ahead and welcome into the show El Ninos. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. El, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, can't complain. Things are going fine. Of course, El, before we get into the game, you're looking for Major League Baseball. Just like to get your thoughts here on the NFL. I know we see LA back there, so I'm sure you may follow the Rams. I know you're a Raider fan. Now, your thoughts on that Rams victory against the Eagles? Seemed like the entire world was on the Eagles yesterday.
Well, I had the Rams in that one. I think they're a pretty good team. Obviously, the Eagles have some good players too, but they've been a pretty disappointing team so far, and I don't know. It just didn't seem much reason to back them last week. So, as I said, they have some good players. They can definitely turn their season around, but they definitely need to get it going soon. But yeah, Raiders fan here. Sorry, not a Rams fan. Still a Raiders fan, and they're looking pretty good. Don't want to give too much away. I got a pick on that as well, but yeah, it's going to be a good game tonight, I think.
Mitch, what did you take from that Ram? Okay. Mitch, what did you take from that Rams-Eagles game? I noticed one thing with the Rams. When I saw them against Dallas and again against the Eagles, they just seemed to be in good physical condition. They're in good shape. The Eagles didn't look that way to me.
I thought even without Cam Akers, the Rams looked really good. A lot, kind of more like they did during the Super Bowl, not so in a different way. It wasn't just a bunch of really, over-the-top paid players, doing it for the Rams. It was just a better coaching job we're seeing out of the Rams than we saw last year. And I think that's really the difference here, is that they're building a game plan that Goff can be successful in. And I think that's the difference between the Rams and the Eagles, is that Doug Peterson's ego has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every single game. And it's just, it's not even every single year. It's every single game since winning that Super Bowl that his play calling, I don't even think his own players can figure it out. And he's calling plays that his receivers and his quarterback can't pull off. The only plays that they can't pull off are these passes to the tight ends, but everybody knows that, so they're covering them a little bit tighter than they have to. It's like, why bother catching a receiver if he's not? If number one, they can't get the ball to him, and number two, he's not going to catch it if they do. So why bother? The running game with Sanders it's mundane. It is, and I just think that Doug Peterson, if he doesn't watch out, there's been Super Bowl coaches that have been fired before. Ask Tom Coughlin. And, he won a pair of them. And ask Don Shula and ask Chuck Noll. It happens. Tom Landry won a few Super Bowls and quite a few games as well. He was fired. It happens. And Doug Peterson is headed down that dangerous path because I don't know how, when they're pumping in canned booing, when your quarterback throws an interception into the end zone at home, you got problems.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way. Al, I know you're doing very well in the NFL this season. Looking at the numbers over at Pick Dogs. What other thoughts you took from the NFL week number 2?
Well, Chiefs. I had them too, and obviously they had their slowest start since 2018, I believe, scoring just 6 points in that first half. So that was pretty disappointing. But we've seen them have slow first halves before too. I think it's going to be a pretty good season. There's lots of good teams out there, and there's a couple of teams that stand out. Obviously, in the Chiefs and the Ravens, they definitely look like the top two. But it's a long season, and it's like a couple injuries that could really go any way. So it's a pretty open season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. All right, Al, let's get to the game you're going to be looking at. It's the Rays and the Mets. And let's take a look at the current line in that one with Tampa Bay and New York Mets. We've got New York favored about $1.90, total sits at 7. It'll be Fairbanks and Jake DeGrom on the hill for this one. And, of course, Fairbanks, a right-hander who had a really high strikeout rates in the minors in his limited time in the majors this year, a strikeout rate of 32%. So how do you see this one as it's the Mets and the Rays?
Well, obviously we got to give the Mets the pitching edge here with DeGrom going, but he's been hit this year. He's given up a couple of runs here and there, and the Rays, Fairbanks, he's been pretty good. If he could get through he doesn't go deep. Obviously, he's opening for Fleming. It looks like he'll have most of the innings, and I think if he could get through the first inning without giving up a run, and then Fleming can limit the damage and turn this into a bullpen game. If the Rays lineup can, maybe work the count a bit, not give out quick outs to DeGrom. He hasn't gone particularly long in this game. He's only completed 7 innings twice this year. So if they can get keep it close at the start and get to the Mets bullpen, which still isn't great, I think we got a pretty good chance with the Rays. So I'm taking the Rays on the money line here.
All right, Al says take the Rays on the money line. Mitch, of course, New York's playoff chances are in dire straits right now. The Rays have been playing good baseball, winners of 5 of 6.
Well, the Mets played themselves into this position. They've certainly had their share of chances. They had a string of games against the Mets and the Marlins and the Phillies. They played all the teams really in their division a ton, and that's how this baseball schedule has played out. And while I think 60 might be a little few amount of games, I don't think they're that far off from being at the right number of games to play in a baseball season, especially if you're going to have 10 postseason teams. I really like this, these 7-inning doubleheaders. I like this guy on second base starting the extra innings. Baseball is actually doing a few things. And you know what else they're doing? Daytime weekday games. Come on. I mean, baseball is finally nailing it on the head. It took a pandemic to get us there, but they're there. And it's like maybe 102 game season or something. They like that odd number. They'll do 102 games or something. 162? Too many. It's like these pitchers, they get injured, thrown out. Also, you don't even have to worry about it. You want your pitcher to go 7-8 innings? You don't have to worry about it. No problem. 102 games. These guys, right? Oh, we don't want to play. It's too much, right? The whole players union and everything, right? Don't worry about it. Only play 102, guys. We'll cut your salaries down by whatever. We'll actually sell hot dogs for maybe $3 at the stadium instead of 12. We'll get the whole thing going. We'll go in there. We'll fix the whole thing.
Yeah, of course, with all the TV rights, now digital media rights, there's all these rights money in there. You can pretty much do that. And of course, I'm a big fan of the static start times. Keep the start times the same. Your 1 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. People want to know with NFL. You already know at 1 p.m. Eastern time, that's when there's a kickoff. 4:25 Eastern, that's when the kickoff. I want to see some static start times in baseball, Mitch.
I'm all with you. I'm the same way, and I think that I think during those 2 summer months. During July and August, when there is no other sports, because next year we will be, back to normal, and there actually will be NBA as well, during July and August. But when we're back to normal next year, I would love to see some more of these daytime afternoon games, which baseball must have seen gigantic interest in this season. They must have seen what we've seen for a long time. Is you give us weekday daytime sports, we don't care who's playing. Not only are we watching it. Yeah, I'll bet on that. It's not below us. This is who we are. It's like if there's something on, people are like, how do you bet the Central Arkansas Austin P game? Well, you open up your online sports book, you see what the spread is, and you put a couple bucks on one side of the other. That's exactly how you bet it. We don't even think twice about it, to be honest with you. It's like, how do you know Central Arkansas? Who cares? Who cares? It's like, you should see me at the racetrack.
Absolutely. All right. Here on the drive-through, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. each time with the El Ninos here, looking at the dog with the Rays. El, I'm checking your numbers over at Pig Dogs. Very good starts to NFL. College football, good, but I need a little more volume, my man. All right, but doing pretty good over at Pig Dogs. I know you're studying the card, and you'll get some more plays up there as we got SEC this week. What do you have going on over at Pig Dogs?
Yeah, I got some, as I said, the NFL game and some hockey going on too, as well as a couple baseball games. But yeah, college, slow start, you said, but a pretty good one so far. Yeah, try to get a few more college plays out there, but it's a lot of stuff going on. As I said, I usually do cover the pro sports before I go into college, so it's hard. Also, if I go too crazy with that, I might end up giving like 20 plays, and don't know if I'm ready for that yet. So we'll see. It's still early season, and we got quite a lot of it to go. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, so check out El Ninos over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, now it's always great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, you guys have a good one. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks, Al.
All right.
We got over 200 people watching us online now. It's awesome. 175 on the Pig Dogs channel alone. Thanks, everyone who's tuning in. Just remember, smash that like button. Just smash it. Just hit it. Go on your wife's account. Hit the like button there, too. And it costs you nothing. Takes about a half a second. Zero effort. Helps us an absolute ton, because the way that Google ranks these in the side and the recommended and all that other stuff that nobody understands, I can tell you a piece of the puzzle that everybody understands. You hit that like button, we show up. That is exactly how it works. So please, I don't usually beg, but I'm gonna beg. And also I want to shout out to Joe D'Amico. We hope his father gets better. Prayers, hopes, all that other kind of good stuff. Joe D'Amico's dad is one of the real good guys out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree there with Mitch. All right, here on the drive-thru, guys, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot more picks coming, more baseball. We got some college football, too. We got some early lines we're going to try and pick off here in college football. And I want to get Mitch. We're going to get this game started in about 10 minutes. It's the Brewers and the Reds, Woodruff and Castillo. And we're seeing here Cincinnati favored $1.24, total 7. A lot of playoff implications this one, Mitch, as we've got two pretty good pitchers on the mound here. You're looking at Woodruff, 6 earned runs allowed in his past 3 starts. Luis Castillo, 1 earned run in his past 2 starts. Something's got to give here in this Brewers and Reds game.
Yeah, something has got to give. And both these teams are 500, 27-27 versus 26-26. There are one of these teams, potentially them or the Cardinals, could be that second place team in the National League Central. One of them could be out of the playoffs. And that's how important these games are, because they're going head to head. So we're going to see big swings here. There's 4 teams for 2 at-larges and 2 teams still in the running for second place in their division. The Giants are the only team that's really just flying solo for one of those extra spots. They got Cueto going tonight, so, good luck. I think the Rockies have won about 8 games since the first 2 weeks of the season. It's like they've won 20-something games this season. They were like 13-1 to start, so, it'd be terrible. So you got to figure, that of these 2 teams, these games are basically playoff games, and you have a playoff matchup here in Woodruff versus versus Castillo. Two guys that have been really good. But Castillo, his last two outings, I mean, this is the best I've ever seen him pitch.
Yeah, he is, and you got to be worried if you're a Dodgers team, if they're the 8th seed, to get Castillo and they could their two starters could give LA a little run for their money.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the Reds have a real nice rotation, and the Brewers, they've been in the playoffs every single year, right? So it's like these teams are no strangers at all. But when you look at the top of the Reds rotation, Sonny Gray hasn't even been pitching.
No,
I mean they're going to be tough.
Yeah, they're going to be tough, and of course the total there is 7.5. Especially with these two lineups, maybe the under looks like a play on that one, Mitch, because the Reds and the Brewers have struggled at the bat. We look at Reds 207 against right-handed pitching, and the Brewers 214.
But the Reds struggled earlier this season, and over the last 10 games, they've really come on strong. 8-2 straight up in their last 10. And these were against better teams, too, that they've been playing. This isn't against the scrubs either. They beat the White Sox up pretty good in that series, too. So I tell you, the Reds, big expectations at the beginning of the season. They kind of fell short on them. They opened the season as minus 230 favorites against the Detroit Tigers and lost. And then we saw them at minus 2 and change many times throughout the season, and they lost. Maybe this is the Reds team that everybody expected to see.
Yeah, that could be the case there. It could be the Reds that everyone was expecting to see there as they're trying to get their act together here. A lot of teams are trying to jockey in. Well, who makes it in the wild card will come in hot, Mitch, because when you're that jumbled up, someone's going to be playing good ball to win it.
Well, last year the World Series champion came out of the wild card. It's not that unusual in baseball. It's who's playing hot at the end of the season. I tried to say that, Al was talking about the Chiefs and the Ravens looking like the two best teams in the NFL. I think there's some people in Seattle that might have a thing or two to say about that as well. But, or Green Bay. And there's plenty of teams, but there's a lot of time between now and then. And, it's usually in the NFL, we've seen it a million times. The team that finishes fast is the team that goes on. I mean, look at the Titans last year. Look at the Ravens. Both times they won the Super Bowl. Look at the Packers when they won it with Aaron Rodgers. They came in as a wild card. We've seen it so many times, and we see it so many times in sports. It's not who's the best team. It's who's the hottest right now. And where we really always see it is in the NHL, right? You just throw a hot goalie in there, and it's like, oh boy, number 6, number 7. Look at the NBA right now. We got number 3 against number 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So there's going to be a 3 or 4 in the finals. And there could be a couple of them.
Yeah, there very well could be a couple of them there. And of course, that's the NBA, which we'll talk about tomorrow, as it's the Lakers in Denver as they continue into Game 3. And of course, we'll have to wait an extra day there. Actually, it will be on Wednesday before we see the Celtics and the Heat. All right, we'll continue here on the drive-through. Still a lot of more picks coming. We got some baseball still on the docket, some early college football. We got some SEC games we'll talk about, and then we'll go ahead and talk hockey. And let's bring in Chris Ruffalo. You'll listen to him and watch him on the morning show at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Mitch and Company. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Can't complain. Of course, we'll get to hockey here, but we want to get your thoughts here on the NFL this past weekend.
Oh man, I took one on the chin, at least for the first half of that schedule. It was everything that was supposed to go right went wrong. Everything that went wrong went right, and it was just there was a litany of injuries that sort of threw a curveball into everything. But you know what? It's part of the game. It's a shame that everything happened in week 2, but we still have a full 14 weeks to go, and I'm excited.
Yeah, so am I. We got NFL. Let's cross our fingers. All right, Chris, you're going to be looking here at this NHL game between Dallas and Tampa Bay. Boy, Dallas getting a really solid goaltending effort, especially that third period. But Dallas took advantage of their chances and got pucks through the net. And but Tampa here favored $1.60 in some places. Total sits here at 5, and it's juiced to the over. So your thoughts here in game 2?
Yeah, I also want to look at the series price as well in a little bit. But as far as tonight goes, Dallas looked every bit the part of a Stanley Cup finalist in Game 1. They were just the better team, and I think Anton Khudobin's been the best revelation the Stars could have had at this point. And I said last round that I thought Khudobin's my pick to win the Conn Smythe for playoff MVP if the Stars lift the cup. And he's been probably the main reason why they are where they are at this point. And as good as the Lightning are, we saw Tampa Bay struggle to find the net the same way that Vegas did in the last round. And Tampa Bay just throwing everything at the net, and it's you can start to see at the end of that game it was getting a little bit frustrating for them, knowing that they couldn't get anything past, for all intents and purposes, the Stars' backup goalie. And this is a high pressure spot for Tampa to try to figure out. The Stars team has been an enigma for a lot of the teams that have stood in Dallas's way up to this point. I think Dallas takes a 2-0 lead in this series. I'm going to take the Stars to eke out a tough win at plus 130.
All right, looking for the value there with the Stars. And Mitch, have you taken a peek at all in this Stanley Cup final? Game one, or did you see the conference finals?
I watched the hockey on TV, but I'm just not a hockey expert. That's how the Puck Dogs ended up on my show in the first place in the morning. I used to fly solo on that show, and then I was like, hey, can you guys come on and help me with the hockey? And they haven't left since. It's been about a year. They just won't go. So, it's like, hey, it's like, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do an NFL show tomorrow, kind of like drop the hint, it's like, oh, cool, man, we'll be there, it's like, so, it's nice having the Puck Dogs around. We've had a lot of fun doing the videos. I do the videos, the regular videos on our Pick Dogs YouTube channel. And I'll tell you, we've really murdered some of these Dallas Stars videos, probably 8 to 10 takes just with the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. It's like, it's fun doing the videos with everyone, just seeing, how easy it is to crack each other up. I think we know like how to get each other now. Like, it's almost too easy, the setup, it's like everyone knows I get frustrated at times with people, and Ruffalo knows how to kind of dig me on that. I'll be like, the ball's on this kid.
That's what I said. Do I do one take and be professional about this and just sit here stone-faced, or do I just try to break Mitch and have to do this for 8 takes? Like, no, I'll take the 8 takes. I have a little bit of time on my hands. Let's break him a little bit.
And some of them have been like, I'm basically laughing through the video. I have to mute myself and come back for my portion. But I've enjoyed it, and it's been a really enjoyable hockey season. I'm not a hockey expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I definitely enjoy covering it. It's something that I haven't covered on live shows and videos ever in the site. We've always covered hockey, but we never have done it, quite the way we did it this season or last season. So I've definitely enjoyed it. And, like I said, now it's like, I don't have all the pressure of having to stand there by myself in front of the camera for an hour every day.
Hey, Chris, we got a question here for you from the chat room. I think it's BZ Baby LD asked, Stars on the reverse puck line at plus 360.
Yeah, I think that's a definite possibility as well. If Tampa Bay continues to get frustrated, if you see a 2-1 Dallas lead, let's say into the last 5 minutes, Rod's covered it in the past when we've talked about hockey before. The empty nets are hitting at a 30% clip or something along those lines, and it's a definite possibility that we could see an empty net, kind of like what we saw that kind of busted the under on in game 1 to make it a 4-1 game. I think reverse puck line is a definite solid bet for this game.
All right, Chris Ruffalo here joining us. Plus 360, juicy price here on the drive-through, guys. Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. A lot of picks coming. Chris, you wanted to mention about the series. Did you look at the series prices? Any thoughts there?
I did think we were going to get a little bit more value, but I guess that's what a game 1 victory will do for you, where each side's sitting at minus 110 at last I checked. But the Lightning are a perennial favorite to win the Cup. They have a ton of depth, even as much as we tell them they can suck it on our live show in the morning. They're still a solid team. And Dallas, on the other hand, they entered the playoffs as a plus 1,600 futures bet, which was 4th best in the West. And I'll have to call out Rod from one of our previous conversations where he scoffed at me when I said, Dallas has a shot. And then it was just, no way, no, they can't. But you look, they've taken down Vegas and Colorado, who were respectively plus 550 and 650 to win the Cup when the playoffs started. You have a team that's more than double that's sitting in the Cup final right now. And I think defense is going to dictate the play in the series. And if that's the case, that plays right into Dallas's hand. I think you got to look at even money for the Dallas Stars to win this series. And I looked at the prices for Dallas. If you try the correct score, anywhere from a sweep right now for Dallas is paying around plus 1,000. But even then, for Dallas to win 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, it's ranging from about plus 450 to plus 600. So I think you can take a look at those. Those are really attractive odds as well.
They sound that way.
I heard plus 360. I go right to the book here. It's like, I figure you guys are talking. I got nothing else to do, right? So I'm wondering, there's all kinds of props here. So it's like, Chris, any chance Dallas wins the opening faceoff? Plus 105 here. I got to buy a spot in the corner, take back on the Lightning. I mean, I'm here anyway. I wouldn't normally do it, but it's like.
I can do a little bit of research for you, and I can get back to you before puck drop.
Yeah,
all right,
we got
quite a few props here.
I think there's one on there if someone on the bench is going to miss their mouth with the Gatorade bottle or something. I think I've seen that before. Oh man!
Oh, there's hundreds of props.
You want to talk about a rabbit hole? Look down at hockey props entering like before a game. That's a rabbit hole you could probably go down for at least 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Total shots by Essa Lindell. Total shots on goal by Corey Perry. I don't even know who these guys are. Most goals plus assists. Gurianov or Point?
Oh, is that for the game or for the...
Yeah, for the game.
Yeah,
that's minus 170 on Point.
Yeah, I know. You got to go Gurianov at those odds.
How about
Gurianov leads the Stars in scoring?
How about Kucherov and Ben? I might have an interest.
Kucherov. Yeah, that's good. But I think anytime you play those head to heads, you're gonna want to go with the team, the guy that's on the team that you're hoping is going to win that game, because you don't want to be you don't want to have a bet on Dallas to win the game, but then all of a sudden you're hoping that Kucherov outscores Jamie Benn, because then it's like 6 of one, half dozen of another.
What's
shutout odds? How tight? Yeah, well, the odds of overtime are plus 265 over here.
That's something I could look into as well. If you don't have the reverse puck line, I think overtime is a solid close second at plus 265.
All right, Chris Ruffalo joining us here on the drive-thru, looking at some hockey props. Mitch has got his skin in this game, so he's going to try to dig deep into the fruit.
Tony's like, are you interested in hockey? As a matter of fact, now I
am. You're scrambling around. Where's my desk money?
He hit that 360. You should have seen his eyes.
This is how Pete Rose gets thrown out of baseball. It's like, Pete, do you think your second baseman's good for 2 hits tonight? Yeah, I kind of like the chances. Why do you ask?
Yeah, you can ask Mrs. Gretzky too. All right,
it's like, this won't get me thrown out of the league, will it?
In hockey, may do that. Hey, when we talked hockey, I want to get your thoughts here. I know you cover baseball, but how are you looking at this week in baseball? Lineups are important here because we're seeing a bunch of prospects in this Angel Ranger game. You need your program to figure out who's playing in this. And getting into this week of baseball, a little tricky because if you're a playoff team, you don't want to rush your guys too much. But I noticed what the Dodgers did; they played their starters for a few innings and pull them out. So how you approaching this week in baseball handicapping?
I think if a lot of teams are going to take the same approach that the Dodgers are taking, you might want to start looking into first 5 betting. And I mean, that's something that I've started to do with a couple of these. Once I noticed the same thing that Tony that you just mentioned, is that the Dodgers were letting their guys go about 5 innings, and then after the 6th or 7th, once they thought maybe we maybe don't need them for the last couple, give them a little bit of rest, they'd pull them. You get it in the first 5, that's usually a solid way to look at it. Otherwise, I mean, I'm still going to cap it as I normally would, with the extenuating circumstance that in a 60-game season, a lot more teams have a chance to qualify, especially with an expanded playoff field, than you would see at this point in the season, on a regular year, where we'd probably be maybe 20 games away from the postseason, and about 80% of the field's been eliminated from the playoffs at this point. So many more teams have a shot, and so many more teams have a chance to squeak into one of those wild card spots. And I think you're going to see a bunch of teams, throw everything at the wall, throw their best players at the wall, and see what sticks, and just hope to God that they're one of the 2 teams that makes it on the final day of the season.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo joining us here on the drive-thru. Chris, we're looking at you over at Pick Dogs Premium, having a fantastic year in the NBA. What you got going over at the site right now, Pick Dogs Premium?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't flex that muscle tonight with no NBA, but, I love being on the drive-thru, and tonight, I love the place so much that I still have on the board at this point. I decided to throw up a limited time 6-pack, including the side and the total in the NHL game that we just talked about, but also the side and the total in the Monday Night Football game, as well as 2 NBA plays that are still on the board, up for $25. You know, this is only going to be on the board until we go off the air, and then once we're off the air, it's gone like yesterday. But as far as the rest of the week goes, there's going to be plenty on my plate, plenty on the board, and we're going to hit it hard for the rest of the week. I'm telling you, you guys don't want to miss out on this.
That's right, guys. Check out Chris
board.
Ruffalo.
Speaking of the board, September 22nd, we got snooker starting at 2 a.m. Pacific time.
3 words. Hold me back.
Oh, my goodness. And darts? All right.
Bond against G-Town.
Oh, my God. Don't get me started on
kicks it off. Plus 302 on Bond.
Oh, well.
Minus 400 on G-Town.
One of my favorite things that I watched during the stoppage was the Professional Darts League in England, and just the halls that would fill up of people just with these ridiculous hats, celebrating when a guy got 180 on the one set of 3 throws, and just watching the place go ballistic. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is either taped or these guys are really not following those social distancing violations. Something's going on here. But darts, absolutely, I will watch it 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, there's 100 snooker matches here.
It's not curling season yet, is it?
It's always curling.
What is
Who the hell are you kidding, Tony?
I don't know what the snooker is, but I'm in.
Just watch a how-to video for 5 minutes. You'll figure out the rules, and then just throw it on. Just do it like you do with horses. Just take whoever's name sounds better.
I'm looking for a snooker writer for Sports Chat.
There you go.
God, that's a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole I won't get my foot stuck in.
All right, Chris, it's always great having you on the show. We'll listen to you tomorrow and watch you with Mitch and company at 10:38 Eastern Time. Have a great night.
Thank you. Guys have a good night, too. Thanks for having me.
All right, back here on the drive-thru, still more picks coming. I'm joined with Mitch. And Mitch, I'll take a game here, top of the hour, Cubs and Pirates, Lester and Brubaker. Cubs about $1.50. Total sits here at 8.5. Of course, we know Pittsburgh, it's a lost season for these Pirates. But Lester, I guess he's trying to get his act together for the postseason, Mitch, because he was rocked a little bit. He's had the past 2 starts a little better. 2 earned runs allowed in 11 innings. Of course, J.T. Brubaker had really one bad start recently. But the Pirates, look past 7 games, just not hitting. $1.68. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like the Pirates in this one. We had a morning show consensus on this game where everybody actually liked the Pirates that was on the morning show. So as Brian, Rod, and myself and Chris were all on the Pirates this morning in this one up against Lester and the Cubs. The Cubs coming off that late night game last night at Wrigley. Now with the then going on the road. Not that, it's 7 o'clock at night. It's not like they're traveling to China or something. They're only traveling, from Chicago to Pittsburgh. But still, it's the COVID, it's all these other things. And it's, it's traveling, it's going on the road. And the Cubs, not as much to play for as some of these other teams. But the Pirates, the last week of the season, they're high on Brubaker. They're real high on him.
Yep. We had Ron Zawacki could not be with us today, but he was going to look at Mitch at this Houston and Seattle game. Marco Gonzalez, probably one of their best starters, facing McCullers, and McCullers laying about $1.30, total of 8. Yeah,
we have McCullers really one of the worst road pitchers out there in baseball. He's hideous. He's got, a road ERA like 13 and change. This guy does not last long in these road games, and I'm surprised that they'll wheel him out there. And this is why, we this morning, our commentary is pretty much, this is why Dusty Baker has winning teams and still manages to get fired. It's like you can't figure out that McCullers can't pitch on the road. So it's, you wind up in trouble. And I think that's exactly what's going on here. This Houston team is not the same Houston team that we've seen in recent years, iPads, Apple Watches, or whatever. But, I don't think it has anything to do with that. It has to do with the thin rotation and the fact that they have to wheel McCullers out for yet another road start against Gonzalez, who's been pretty good for a guy with no fastball.
All right, he's Mitch, and I'm Tony T here on the drive-thru. Of course, Mitch, you can find him over at Pick Dogs, #1 NFL, #1 in NBA. You're having off to a great start this year, Mitch. What's got going up at Pick Dogs?
I got a 3-pack tonight, 2 MLB plus the NFL game. I'm #1 in NFL, but it is a long season, and Actually, there was 2 other NFL games, and I said it on the morning show yesterday. There was 2 NFL games that I really liked, and I didn't give out as premium picks, but I gave them out as free picks. One I gave out as the dog of the day. That was the Dolphins plus the points. And then the other one that I really liked was the Chargers against the Chiefs. Just so much public money on the Chiefs these days. But, it'll take, the Ravens beating them up, if that's possible, to get some of that money off the Chiefs going forward. But, I think the NBA has been really good to me. I think that, in the bubble, you start to see, actually team versus team, as opposed to the crowd having a lot to do with it. Yeah, the refs have gotten away a few games, and you have to expect that. The refs in the NFL, there's nothing surprising anymore that, these games, most of them are decided by 2 or 3 plays. So, most of them are not decided by that many points. If you're willing to lay 9.5 points on the road in the NFL, you're going to lose a lot of money. I mean, it's rare that, teams consistently lose on the road by that many points. I mean, Denver had their 2nd-string quarterback in there, Jeff Driscoll. They still only lost by a few at Pittsburgh and had every chance to win that game. It just shows you, to play at that level, everybody's good. And anybody can beat anybody. You rarely see teams go winless. It happens. But you rarely see it, and you never see teams go undefeated. So it's, it is on any given Sunday, and you have to treat it like that. You certainly, there's no locks in the NFL. A few years ago when the Bears went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Colts, who was one of their 2 losses, their first loss of the season, at home as 15.5-point favorites over a winless Dolphins team, and there was nothing all that surprising about it, because that's what happens in the NFL. And, look at Zach Wheeler getting beaten up by the Washington Nationals in the first inning of this baseball game. Look no further than that. Everybody in professional sports can play. There's no slouches on these rosters. And, there's a comment made on the morning show, oh, they weren't even trying. It was like, trust me, these guys are trying, because if you're going to pay somebody $15 million to sit there and play football, there's equally as many people that want to do that exact same thing and are more than willing to do it for $14 million, So it's like, these guys are pro athletes. I never believe that they take the day off, unless you establish yourself to a superstar level and you actually do, call it in like they do in the NBA.
All right, drive through. I'm with Tony and Mitch here. Still 2 college football and a baseball pick coming. All right, Mitch, I'm going to look at this SEC game, Florida at Ole Miss. Boy, this line has moved already. It was 12.5 yesterday. Now Florida 14.5, 15 in some places. Total down to 57, 57.5, 56. It's going to be all over the place here on a Monday. But Dan Mullen, 3rd season, he's improved the offense. The defense is still playing good. Kyle Trask, a good quarterback. Mullen did raise up that Mississippi State program. Of course, good old Lane Kiffin, an offensive-minded coach, makes his debut here as a big dog. How do you see it?
Well, we've seen Lane Kiffin have a lot of success at Florida Atlantic, and he is a good recruiter. Maybe he learned his lesson. Sometimes we see coaches, have a bad experience in the head coaching spot. We saw Lane Kiffin have at USC, and then come back in other spots and look really, really good. Look at Bill Belichick and how he looked as head coach of the Cleveland Browns for a couple of years, and look at him now on the Patriots. Just 2 different stories. I'm not saying Lane Kiffin is Bill Belichick, and it's kind of almost, you guys can beat me up for even mentioning them in the same sentence. But, I think at the same time, I think Dan Mullen is a little bit overrated as Florida's coach. And I think that the recruiting has probably somewhat taken a hit at Florida over the years as you start to see teams like UCF, emerge in the Florida football scene. Manny Diaz, a hometown guy at going into Miami and taking over that program. Florida normally gets pick of the litter of the Florida players. It's not the case anymore. You're starting to see the Florida players at other schools. You've always seen guys like Lamar Jackson at other schools. You've always seen the Amari Coopers at other schools. You've always seen these guys. It's, we want to get away. We want to go somewhere else and see what it's like. Keyshawn Johnson, you just see these guys. It just happens, and it's just part of the thing. But Florida's always been able to retain a lot of those guys. I'm not sure Kyle Trask is quite on that level. I'm just not sure of it. And I'll tell you, losing some of these great defensive players like Florida's been losing over the years, the non-Mullen recruits, guys like Jabari Zuniga, how are they going to fill those shoes? I think this game is going to be a little tighter than people think, and I think it's going to be an SEC type game. And I think Lane Kiffin, maybe he learned a thing at USC because his players always look motivated at FAU.
Yeah, they certainly did. All right, another SEC game, Mitch. Kentucky at Auburn. It opened Auburn with about 8-point favorites. Come down a little bit. Auburn 7.5. Total sits here at 48. Of course, Kentucky will have Wilson back at quarterback. We know he's been one of those suffered through injuries. Of course, Lynn Bowden was a receiver converted to a quarterback last year. So Wilson back. But Stoops done a good job at that school, getting into the team in bowls in 4 straight years. They're experienced, 8 on offense, 7 in the defense. And, of course, Terry Wilson, 12-3 straight up as a starter. Of course, on the Auburn side, inexperienced on both sides of the football. Bo Mix, let's see how he handles the accuracy here. But it looks like Auburn's going to be laying 7 and a hook in this one.
Yeah, I don't love the hook all that much. It's going to be an SEC-style game, but we know that in Auburn games, if they can get out ahead, I think they can get it done. And I think that they still have the talent edge over Kentucky because it's always tough being the football coach at a basketball school. And that is, the challenge that Stoops has. He could win the national championship 3 years in a row, and Kentucky is still going to be a basketball school. There's nothing he can do about that. So, the other coaches, when they're recruiting against him, that's exactly what they're saying. It's like, if you're a basketball player, that's great. But if you're going to, to be there, a football player, well, not so great. I think, Gus Malzahn's got some big pieces to replace there on the defensive line. Brown was just, I thought last year Auburn had the best defensive line in football. I thought that they had an NFL defensive line, and I'm looking at the NFL. They did have an NFL defensive line, right? So it's like, this is, a great team. Auburn never has a problem getting talent, though. They're always going to be big. They're always going to be fast. They're always going to be tough. And they're always going to be a better program than Kentucky. And I just have to go on that alone. I don't love that hook.
Not at all. All right, here on the drive-through show, daily at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We give you a lot of picks on the show, all of the pick dogs. And now it's time for my pick. We're going to look at the Rockies and Giants tonight, and we're going to go ahead and take the Giants at -115. Johnny Cueto gets the start. Veterans pitch well last 3 starts. Now the Rockies, they're tail spinning. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to make the postseason. German Marquez is the starter, but last 2 trips in San Francisco, has allowed 13 earned runs and 10 innings of work. Rockies have lost 9 of 12. And as we know, the Giants are in the thick of a playoff race. I'm going to take San Francisco here at -115. Give it back to Mitch here. Mitch, your thoughts on this Rockies team and how they've really squandered?
I said it on the morning show, and I was thinking it, when I was doing the videos last night, I'm like, wow, the Rockies only have 23 wins. It's like they were in first place after 2 weeks of the season. It's like they had at least 10 of those wins then. So what's their record since then? It's terrible. They've been absolutely awful. Meanwhile, the Giants, a team with no expectations of them, and this is how the good Giants teams are. You want to talk about a wild card team that comes from nowhere? The Giants have done that before. And, not an organization that usually skimps on spending. So the fact that they end up with a couple of guys that actually perform to their level, guys like Longoria hitting, it's like, these are the things that need to happen. Brandon Belt, these are the guys that need to hit, the Crawford. It's like, no, they're not going to do it every game, but I'll tell you what, Buster Posey, probably a little irked that he took the season off because he could have been the DH. I think his best days might be behind him, and I think he knew that. And I think that's part of why he decided to sit.
Yeah, absolutely. Here on the drive-through, Tony T joined by Mitch as we went through the hour and gave you all the plays as we could as we get down to the start of the games at the top of the hour. We're reached out now. Tomorrow we'll have more coverage from Major League Baseball as well as the NBA game. It'll be the Nuggets and Lakers, and then of course we'll bring in some NFL and college football. Let's go ahead and bring in all the pick dogs and give us our wave goodbye, guys. Great as always talking to you. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
I'll be back tomorrow as well. So